Alright, hello and welcome back to Let's Play yet another no-name MAME game. Today's no-name MAME game is... Flicky! This is actually kind of one of my favorites. It actually dates back to, back when I had the Sega Smash Pack for the CD. So I never had a Genesis as a kid, but I did have the Sega Smash Pack, which was... well, basically legal emulation back in the day. It's kind of amazing when you think about it, but essentially Sega released, like, some of the Genesis forms on an emulator for the Dreamcast, and then eventually later they repackaged it for the, computer. In fact, it was definitely from the Dreamcast era, because they even packaged Sega Swirl as one of the exclusives. That's kind of a little incomprehensible now, but, well, okay, it was kind of incomprehensible then, too. I mean, Sega Swirl's not that great of a game, but it was kind of it was symbolic of the Dreamcast online service. And so too, this game is symbolic of my days with the Genesis on a legal emulator on the computer. So I mean, Flicky itself is not necessarily one of my favorite games, but it's forever associated with some of my favorite games. So for that way, it kind of becomes one of my favorite games. So Flicky is a arcade game where you control a bird, as someone once put it, a bird with an inertia problem. And so, man, you thought Super Mario and Super Mario All-Stars was bad. This guy, he changed direction, and he slides at least half an inch. Your main antagonist are the cats, which you can deal with through clever item management. Just as a little trick, when you grab an item, if you stand under a bird, you don't have to jump and throw the item to get the bird. Which is, well, I guess chick, but it's a really neat little trick that allows you to save the items for when you really need it. Although this, I don't know, so I've played the Genesis version a whole lot, and I'm familiar with the Genesis version, and I've always assumed that the arcade ports would be better, but it's just, something feels off. Like, the music feels a little bit lower, a little bit slower, a little bit duller. I mean, the stages are still exactly the same. The graphics, I feel like they were a little bit brighter on the Genesis. Oh, this is gonna be tricky. But, yeah, no, things just seem a little off. Although, I swear I keep hearing the Shining Force Town theme as I play. Oh, no! So you get, like, Mondo bonus points if you deliver all the birds all at once, so that's what I've been trying to do so far. Oh, and then this stage. So now the birds are gonna fly out, fan out, so you have to move and grab them. It's maybe a little bit easier than the first one. The first one, the trick was you had to stand in the right place and then haul tail as soon as you got that last bird, which the first bonus stage is a little bit forgiving. The next few bonus stages are, I think it's the third one, is sort of like that, but you have to be pretty quick about things. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between regular birds and the birds with the sunglasses, and hey, when the cats poke their little heads out, you can smack them. Nice little gimmick there. Otherwise, I mean, it's a fairly standard arcade platformer, which made slightly more interesting by the addition of inertia. I mean, you kind of just have to know how to control Flicky, and then it's not such a problem. But, yeah. It's nice and it's simple, and, well, I guess I could almost say it's easy. But no, it's definitely a game where you have to know, like, you have to have played it a dozen times, and then it's kind of easy. But until then... Oh yeah, and those diamonds, those are fool's gold. Don't go for them, because then you're just jeopardizing yourself with the cats. You also get time bonuses as you keep floating along. I hear there's a bonus for getting... Oh gosh, the 52 stage. Even the background's different from the Genesis version. What gives? I don't know. It's kind of weird to think that the Genesis version might be the superior port. Although I guess this kind of happened before. Like, I played the arcade outrun on the Game Boy Advance arcade classics thing. Oh, this one. You have to get the final bird last if you want to, or the final chick last if you want to get all the bonus points, which, of course, why would you not? Oh, dang, that's annoying some. Ah, jeez. it's been a little while. Like, this level's a little bit hard if you're not quite sure what you're doing. Or if you're, I don't know, talking to your friends while playing the game. Haha, take that, cat. But I mean, also, too, I was playing Outrun on, like... I looked at Outrun Arcade, and it just seems like the colors are a little bit washed out. I wonder if that's because, like, the Genesis couldn't quite show as many colors as its arcade brethren, so Sega decided to compensate by making the colors, like, brighter and have better contrast, which, in turn, just made the game look a lot better. So this stage also marks the, introduction of Iggy, or Izzy, I forget exactly which, but basically it's a lizard that floats around, well, okay, it follows the, ground exactly as it follows you and tries to, hit you. And that lizard is really hard to pay attention to the whole time. And you never know when it's just gonna, like, come out of nowhere to hit you. It's cats. I don't know, I'm tempted to say that the controls are slightly off, but it could also be just because I'm playing this with an arcade stick and I usually play the Genesis version with, guess what, a Genesis controller. More likely a Nomad controller. Maybe if, well, okay, so Flicky does have the inertia thing, but if you constantly kind of shift directions left and right, you can kind of control it a little bit natively. I mean, it makes a lot of noise, but that's what the pros do, right? Just think of it like StarCraft. Like, those pros are averaging like 50,000 seconds per action, or something like that. I'm sure it's a more reasonable, but still slightly insane number. So just think of it like you're a StarCraft pro, and you've got to, macro everything. Okay, don't. Oh. Missing just one little guy. It's kind of a game, war of attrition that you will not win if you just kind of float around, just because the items do run out. So it is actually not a bad strategy to get all the chicks at once. The stage is a little tricky because you gotta know, like, right when to turn around. Oh gosh. I feel like the Genesis version was more generous. Like, you can also turn around and then, like, have the chicks run into Flicky's body, which saves them, of course. But you gotta... You still have to line up everything correctly. A nice little game. Although Flicky is kind of one of the games where it's like, you can play it once, but then just for some reason, well, I mean, you don't really want to play it like over and over and over again. Maybe it's just because as you make like so much progress and you get so emotionally invested into a game that when you die, then it's just such a big bummer that it's like you can't continue. You just got to take a break so you can emotionally recover emotionally from the trauma that is Flicky. Also, I haven't been quite... I feel intuitively that, like, Flicky's just hanging out at some sort of hotel, and then he's bringing the chicks back to their room in the hotel, which kind of only raises more questions than it answers, really. Oh my god, what the crap was that? What the hell? So, that's not in the Genesis version. I don't know what that was. What? And he's not coming back or anything. It's just one-time dog fire breath. What the heck? So, ignoring that, moving on. Nice little charming arcade game. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to talk about a minute ago. I kind of realized the irony of, like, playing as Ashgabat cats, and then playing as a bird who, like, throws stuff at cats to rescue chicks. It's a little bit funny if you think about it. Yeah, through clever stick management, you can kind of deal with the inertia, but it's always a constant threat, and it's always something you have to be mindful of, and always something you have to struggle with. Because you actually need to make some, like, precise jumps, and, like, get some things pretty right. And if you're not too careful with the items, you can, like, end up wasting all of your stuff pretty quickly, so you do want that accuracy. It's just, oh, gosh, the game's not gonna hand it to you. You have to know what you're doing. Yeah, and if you haven't noticed by now, the stages kind of scroll off to eternity. Sometimes you can offset Flicky's, like, crazy inertia thing just by, like, taking advantage of the fact that the stages loop, and you just keep moving right. You have to be careful of cats coming towards you, but otherwise, it's a moderately stable strategy. Chow, yeah. You just have to lie in wait. Hunt the hunters. That's right. I'm actually a little surprised I got through that without even delivering the last chick. And I'm not so surprised that I crashed straight into the cat. Oh, and the worst is when the chicks manage to wander their way over to the hotel entrance. And then when you get that... Then when you start, you have no choice but to redeem them. And that's kind of a big bummer. Oh, on this stage, it's almost not worth the trouble to deliver them all at once. Just because you have to, like, do it either completely right, or... Well... All we need is that one little chick. Oh, see already, the cats have completely eviscerated it. I feel like this level in particular, it's just made for the cats' favor. Otherwise, oh, we're missing one at least, but we'll go with it. Oh. Minute 25 seconds, not exactly a masterful flakiness, but good enough. It's kind of a forgiving, bright, colorful game that at the same time, I guess, is and isn't forgiving. I mean, it does give you a lot of lives, which is especially nice, but at the same time, I mean, you have to constantly grapple with controls, and the levels, some of them are pretty devious. So, jury's out on whether it's an easy game or not. Huh. I don't remember that, like, pyramid-looking opening being in the Genesis version. So maybe the arcade version has, like, a weird mechanic where occasionally a dragon dog just kind of pops out, fires a quick fire blast at you, and then disappears. Oh, this one. You have to jump to get them all. It's... Oh, do you? Or maybe you just have to be... You just have to be moving when you pick them all up. So it's a little reminiscent of the first round, but you don't just stay in one place. You, move around. And here's where the stages start taking a turn for the weird. Evidently, Flicky has a, punk rock club. Oh, that's it? As you go along, some of them have, like, sort of a spaceship background, or star-based background, which gets even weirder. But yeah, Flicky. Another arcade game that I feel is better on the Genesis, I guess. Oh, that's weird. I mean, it feels a little smoother here, but at the same time, I mean, maybe it's just that little extra bit of speed that kind of just throws off my game. Oh, but the Genesis didn't have, like, a neat opening screen like this. It's flaky, because it's like he can scroll off to the side, and then it spells his name. Oh, that's funny. I really wish the Genesis had, like, an introduction screen. Yeah, the Genesis just shows this screen, and then it calls it good. That's no fair. No fun, either. Oh, and then, yeah, you get, like, liberal extra players, although I feel like after a while, then they kind of dry up. But, I mean, if you're good enough to get that third extra player, you're probably good enough to just blast through the game all in one go. I mean, it's surprisingly hard, but it's definitely kind of worth it. I don't know. I mean, Sega published a lot of great arcade games around this era, and Flicky is another one of them. It's like third or fourth or maybe fifth best game, and I mean, relative to other games, that's pretty darn good. It's a pretty good game, but on the other hand, it's like there are a bunch of other Sega games, arcade games you could be playing, so I can't quite recommend Flicky over everything else. I mean, you want like their out and out classics. You've got like Outrun, the Space Harrier. You've got Super Hang On, and then I hear there was like Galaxy Force. But after a while, they kind of all start feeling the same. Whereas this game is like kind of unique relative to their other games, but at the same time, I mean, their other games were maybe a bit better. So, well, on that note, this cat's got a scat.